how bad is it going to be in terms of she might owe money, so to speak,
I
from a
mean,
money point of view?
or go to prison.
Right. That was
if
my
there's
next.
tax issues.
True. So, well, do you think that she has money? Like, do you think there's this, like everyone says, where's Tom's money? Like, do you think Erika has any money somewhere hidden in a mattress? Like, do you think she has money? And if not, how is she living? Like, I mean, I know she says the glam squad and Mikey Minden is there for free. Her assistant, where she's at TJ Maxx. I mean, we've all met that girl. Every time I see Erika, that girl is there for free.
Yeah.
They're all there for free for credit on Bravo, I guess.
Clout's an interesting thing, isn't it? We see this in YouTube all the time, but she looks angry and afraid. I don't think there is just some big pile of money hiding somewhere, because I think her behavior would be different. And I think that it might be easier for her to wrap her head around, I'm going to be okay. She doesn't look like a woman who thinks she's going to be okay on this season. And I don't think she's that good of an actress to pull it off. She looks like her world is falling apart around her. Not to say that others aren't either, because there are still clients of Girardi Keese trying to figure out who's going to represent them in active cases. So it is not just her, but she's the one everybody wants to talk about. And I get that. I wouldn't be surprised if she had help with legal fees from those who want to see her bounce back, from friends. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think there's a big pile of money. I think I'll be very curious when there's a forensic accounting done to see where this money was going. I don't know if Tom was spending money on other individuals, other women. I know in his law firm, he's paying at least $40,000 a month to one of his brothers for consulting work. He was still paying out on these buildings that he owned, paying to the former partner of the firm, who's also going to lose his entire retirement because Tom was paying it monthly to Keese. Where did the money go? I don't know. Were they spending it like water? It seems that way, but it wasn't coming in. And where it was going, I don't think it was necessarily going to sit in offshore accounts. And if it is, that will be traceable down the road and it will be found and we'll hear about it 5 years from now.
And then is Erika wrong, in your opinion, if she, I mean, I guess her argument in her head is, I didn't know, and that's what she's saying. And if she didn't know anything, then why should I be responsible for any of this? Yes, you could still act a certain way towards the victims and be making statements. That's a whole nother thing. But like, that's, I think, was that her rationale of like, I'm not paying, because like where like Ronald Richard says, turn yourself, like she's just like, I'm not giving anything to anyone. I'm not selling any clothes or anything because I didn't do anything. Is that really what it is?
I think legal strategy wise, if I'm on Erika's team, I want a global settlement. And what that means is I want to know how much the IRS thinks I owe. I want to know how much the franchise tax board thinks I owe. I want to know how much the personal bankruptcy trustee thinks I owe and how much the law firm bankruptcy trustee thinks I owe. And if I'm the lawyer evaluating that, I'm looking at the law firm and I'm going, this one comes last, because some of those personal marital debts, like the horse vet in Florida that's not paid and all this other stuff, she's a co-debtor on those. That was debts incurred during her marriage and she's not getting out of those. Same with the tax liabilities. So I can understand why there's this back and forth with regard to the law firm, because she's like, I didn't have access to that money. I didn't know the accountings. And if the lawyers at the firm didn't know what was going on, how the fuck am I supposed to know what was going on? I get that, but it could have been handled better. But if I'm her, I'm also looking at, until I know how big of a hole this is, I'm not paying money anywhere. Because the first liability you're going to want to pay back is the IRS and the franchise tax board, because they're going to get their money no matter what. Other stuff can be discharged in bankruptcy. The law firm money, her lawyer has said, and I've spoken to her lawyer and asked him for comment. Her lawyer has said, look, I'm not confident that she owes back everything to the law firm they're saying she owed. But if these weren't loans and they're listed as loans to the IRS, then there could be other issues. So if I'm the legal team, I want to know what all the issues are before I resolve anything.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes logical sense.
She's and if she pays whatever, if there's, and this is speculation, if there's anything owed to the IRS, if she pays that first and there's nothing left, everything else just isn't going to get paid. I mean, she clearly doesn't have $20 million sitting around. I don't believe she has that money for a second. Because if she would, wouldn't she quietly just be like, here's the money. Can you all stop harassing me on the internet?
Yes, I think the lawyers would work something out,
Yep.
sign your life away if you ever breathe a word of this and just make this go away. Because
Yep.
isn't that what lots of rich people do
That's
often when
exactly what
there's
lots of rich people do.
right? I mean, so how does that work though? Like if the IRS and everything gets theirs and you say no one else gets anything, is it like now garnishing your wages? Like you're going to now go work at Bravo until they fire you and your nothing is yours
I
for
mean,
taking
the
everything?
IRS can, and they take priority. If the money was paid from the law firm, and it looks like from the law firm, Tom Girardi was paying the American Express bills that were for their personal expenses and expenses to benefit Erika and Erika's company were being paid by law firm funds and not personal funds. Her company can file for bankruptcy for some of that. I mean, I don't think EJ Global's sitting on a bunch of money. I think it was a loan out company like many celebrities use, where you hire the company and Erika shows up to perform so that the venue doesn't have to hire her as an employee. So I just think those are credit card bills paid, not money into bank accounts. And that was actually clarified by Ron Richards in the legal filings that was not $20 million into a bank account. It was mostly in-kind payments that benefited her. But if there's no money to get back, I don't know what they think they're going to get back. And that's going to come last in priority to everything else.
And how does that work? I mean, I should know the answer to this, but like once the people that have to get paid, like the IRS, and you declare bankruptcy, that is like, that's the whole point of bankruptcy. You're starting over now and you don't owe anything to anyone.
I think it's why, in particularly because what we're not seeing is what's going on in the personal bankruptcy. So there's a bankruptcy for Tom Girardi as an individual and as a married person to Erika, because they are not divorced. They are just separated. We're not seeing anything going on between the lawyer that's been hired to deal with that, which is from the Axe law firm, Boris Trazian. I imagine that those lawyers are just communicating behind the scenes and trying to sort that out. What my cat is going crazy. I'm sorry
cute.
if you can hear that.
It's just because you were on vacation and she's probably, or he's happy you're home.
Yeah, he's just like, what is happening, Mom? We're going to play with all the things. Apologies. But with the bankruptcy of the law firm, we're seeing it play out much more in public. But if she owes anything and they're not fraudulent transfers, if it's just consumer debts, those can be discharged in bankruptcy. That's why Ron Richards and the bankruptcy trustee for the law firm allege that these are fraudulent loans, because there are some things that can be removed in bankruptcy or discharged so you don't pay them later. And there's some things that can't. And that's why the way this resolves is very important. I think this will probably resolve short of going to trial. And I think it will resolve for pennies on what they think she owes. I also think her legal team will and should fight to say, we don't owe all of that. We didn't choose what bank account Tom paid the credit card bills out of. He chose.
And how is she paying the lawyers? I mean, could they be
I imagine they're not doing it pro bono. I don't know if she's paying it out of her housewife's salary or if she has people helping her. We saw Sutton on was it deleted scenes where Sutton's like, I offered to help her because divorces are expensive and she's being left with nothing. I imagine there's other people in Erika's life too that might be willing to help her with legal fees, but they're not going to be able to go after those people for money. They're just, people can pay legal fees. If the papers are signed right, you can have someone else pay your legal fees.
Right. So if she didn't know anything, which listen, there's no sense in going back and forth because we're never going to know, but like, then why? I mean, this brings up a whole issue, which is a whole nother show, which is something I talk about all the time. Like, why, Tom? Like, it's the same thing with everyone. Joe Giudice, and everyone. Like, what you did, white collar criminals. Like, what is the mindset? It's just you think you're crafty, and I mean, sure, I'd like $50 million versus $5.
Sure.
But I don't, is it just that simple? It's just, I mean, how else is it just great what Tom thinks that I need the trophy wife and I'm going to lose? I mean, that's almost that makes me feel bad. I've had moments of feeling bad for Erika. I've said that before. I've had moments of like, I come out of it, but there are moments of like, it's a 20-year marriage. And if you really didn't know, how will you ever trust someone again? Then you have moments of feeling bad for Tom of like, are you that, and like, is your dick that small? Are you that insecure as one of the top lawyers that you're going to lose this quote unquote trophy wife if you don't keep supporting her $40,000 a month habit? then that's really sad. There's no law, there's nothing after 20
Right.
years that you can say, remember for Richard, like, this is it, honey. We're going down a bad road. Let's face it, there are hundreds of people that are happily married that would stay with somebody. That's a real marriage.